And here we go.
Started off as a PG podcast, but then Devin just kept on dropping shits and fucks, and now
That's right. We are live.
The ghost faced himself, Brandon Tanev.
This isn't like the start of last season when it was just it looked like the Canucks were just a beer league team not playing defense at all.
And just before Chris goes, no, I'm kidding, Chris. You can actually go now.
no, hold on.
Oh, we had to give more time for coming on late. So.
I still had. Oh, hold on. All right, Chris, go, and then I got something else to say at the end.
So an elf and a midget in 2 back-to-back games. Yeah, he's definitely on a friendship tour for sure.
Saying, oh yeah, I'm okay with him being, the 6'7" defenseman. No, he is a AHL defenseman right now.
Look, Shonky, don't mind Devin, okay? We all struggle with Devin, so you know.
Well, good afternoon wherever you are, or morning. Maybe you're in morning, but welcome to the Shifts and Pucks podcast. Of course, you can follow us on Twitter at Shifts and Pucks. We are live there right now, facebook.com, Shifts and Pucks, youtube.com, Shifts and Pucks, twitch.com, Shifts and Pucks. Subscribe wherever you get your audio, as well as on the Area 51 Sports Network. We're here to recap. We are the last to recap Game 5 as the Calgary Flames pulled up off a massive third period to get a 3-1 victory over the Dallas Stars to take the 3-2 series lead, and they can wrap this series up tomorrow in Dallas with the Game 6 victory. Hello, Devin. How are you?
Oh, feeling great today. I was at the game last night. That was my very first ever playoff game I've ever been to, and what a game it was. The atmosphere was electric. The emotion from the fans, from good to bad. The guy right behind me was just beaking all of the players, all of the Flames players, even though he's a Flames fan. He was wanting more from them, and oh god, the fandom around it all was just amazing. And luckily enough, I got this guy right here. Nice little towel.
Nice.
Yep. So I was waving that around all last night. Yeah, it was such a fucking great time, man. Unbelievable. If you have not gone to a playoff game in Calgary, you definitely need to, because it's something special.
Yeah, I give the credit for the Flames fans for, even in the first 2 periods when it just felt like such a slog out there, they were still engaged. They were still cheering. You guys were right into it. And then when the third period happened, the place exploded and you could just feel it. When Backlund scored, it just was like a tidal storm of, and then when Mangiapane scored, it became even.
Yeah, it was like the first period was from being there. The first period was really, really rambunctious and very, very much. You knew the fans were there. Second period, not so much. It was pretty quiet in consideration. It was still loud. And Go Flames, Go chants we're going. I have a beef here. Why are we saying let's go Flames? Our cheering is Go Flames Go. Because right when I hear that, I think of let's go Oilers, and I hate it. I don't like it. So along with Ryan Pinder's wave, anti-wave thing for if the game is close, I'm with them on that, by the way, that you should not be doing the wave or trying to get somebody to do the wave, like your entire section, when the game is so tight. But that was one of my other beefs from last night was let's go Flames. No, we are Go Flames Go all the way. But yeah, once a third hit, you could feel a nervous energy in the concourse, just walking around. nothing. I mean, Jake Ottinger was amazing as he has been this entire series. I was very impressed with the effort from Michael Backlund, like you said, when he scored. It was just a tap in, but that was absolutely insane. And then Mangiapane, he finally got the monkey off of his back as well with a snipe. And yeah, that was amazing to watch. I had an amazing view to witness that go ahead goal, and holy shit, man, it was wild.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the first period, just to go through it here, Matthew Tkachuk had the early breakaway. So Matthew Tkachuk has been active in the early portions of games. How do I be diplomatic about this breakaway?
Don't be diplomatic. Fucking just say it how it is.
That was not his best effort on a breakaway.
That was bad.
Maybe we'll start here, and I don't want to start negatively, but I think we kind of have to. I thought with Daryl put him on the third line last night. Daryl had him with Calle Yarncroke last night. And
he did jumble his lines up a little bit as well. Yep, which I didn't mind. Sending a message.
Yeah, he just he still needs to give more, and it's just if they get past this series, it's like, okay, 2 shots on goal, 1 giveaway, 1 takeaway, 17-18 of ice time. Tyler Toffoli had more ice time than Matthew Tkachuk.
And rightfully so.
Yeah. Toffoli I thought Toffoli was going last night. He is going to score.
He's getting closer and closer. I can feel it. I was telling you last time we were on here for the recap of Game 4 that in my mind, he's going to pop soon. He's going to get one, and I think the Flood, once that happens, I'm not going to say he's going to score 4 in a game, but he will be consistently scoring once he pops that goal light, if you will, because he has been playing amazing. He's around the puck, a lot of really good quality chances, and just like the bounces last night, he'll the one that goes, oh my god, off the glass, and potentially good thing Ottinger did what he did was duck right underneath the crossbar to make sure it's not going to go off his back or head and in. He played that properly, but a couple of these bounces, not just even Toffoli, but will go the Flames' way eventually, and they just need to once again stick with that process. But the Matthew Tkachuk, I think he's slowly getting better. I don't want to say that he realistically he hasn't figured out how to play in the playoffs yet, which is a very weird statement because how he plays in the regular season you think would transfer well to the playoffs, but he hasn't shown up. Like you said, that breakaway shot was absolutely terrible. Like it was bad. Shot it pretty much right in his chest, and it just doesn't seem like he has that swagger, that confidence. And maybe it might be similar thought process of what we're talking about with Toffoli, and that once he gets another goal here, I don't think he's scored in the series, has he?
No, he hasn't. Well, he's gotten a point. He hasn't got a goal yet.
Yeah.
No.
So once he does get that goal, I think the confidence will start flowing a little bit more, and might take a little bit longer to get into it. And he might be a massive, let's say, impact player if Calgary does win one of the next 2 games. Then they're off to the second round. And I think that once the playoffs get more important, that his confidence will start growing from that. But right now it's few and far in between of effort and noticing him for the right plays. And it just seems like he's not around the puck. The puck's not being attracted to him, and or he's not around the puck that as much as he should be. And yeah, good on Daryl for putting him down on that third line, because Toffoli, I think, really needs an opportunity here to be surrounded by players that can set him up, because he does have a hell of a shot.
Yeah, you talked about the one that bounced off the stanchion. There was the other one on, I think it was a power play. I believe it was a power play in the second period. He got in front, and then the puck squeezed past Ottinger, and then it just squeezed past the post. It was like, I'm like, oh my gosh, again for this guy. Yeah.
There's been so many of those this series.
Yeah.
And once again, one of those bounces is going to happen. It's going to go in. And that might be even the series clincher and the game winner for the Flames, maybe not next game, or maybe game 7. And that might be the clinching factor. And I just feel like there's too much that has gone in a very quote unquote lucky way for Dallas. And yeah, eventually this sounds really analytical, but the hockey odds are going to reward the Flames.
I think so. They didn't get off to a generally good start in the first period. And there was the one play Backlund was skating backwards, and then Rupe Hintz. I don't know what Rupe Hintz was exactly trying to do, but I think that this was maybe a rugby play. I'm assuming he was trying to push Backlund into the net, and it almost worked. Chris Tanev had a generally difficult time. I asked you off here, Mary. I ask you. I don't know what's wrong with I don't know if it's the ice or the puck handling, but the Flames were having trouble just keeping the puck. Like, it just felt like they were swatting at flies with like they just couldn't hang on to the puck. Yeah,
and it could be warm in there. I mean, there's been talk that obviously with this old rink having, what is it? I don't. Max capacity is what 16 to 17,000 people in there. It just might not be. It might be hard for the ice crew to actually get this completely right, which is going to be hard. If the Flames do advance into the next round, because it is getting warmer out. Today's a beautiful day outside, and that does have an impact for the ice makers and the staff there at the Dome to make sure that the ice is as pristine as possible. But to your point, Kev, I think as the game went on, I feel like they got better at controlling the puck. But the first 2 periods there were a lot of bouncing pucks, and I don't know that I vividly remember Chris Tanev coughing one up. He tried to pass it through the middle of the ice from his defensive zone into the neutral zone, and he wasn't. They got caught. It got caught off, and that's not normally what Chris Tanev does because we are Tanevologists, right?
Yeah,
we love him, and it's just uncharacteristic. But it's who knows? Because it does seem like that. Back in game 2, they had a really hard time doing that, getting a good solid breakout pass and making simple plays was very hard for them because the puck did seem to be bouncing, and that could have been a massive factor.
Yeah. Like, I'm giving Dallas credit because I think they're playing really well defensively. And I mean, Hakanpää, I thought got off to a good start. He very physical on Mangiapane.
Thankfully that could have been a dangerous play for Mangiapane, and luckily he got up.
And then the one for Gaudreau too with the puck there, which Bonus was complaining about that they stopped the play. I mean, he's shaken up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on, I guess, cause it's very similar to, like, if there's an injury on the play and it looks like that person or that player is in distress, then yes, they blow the play dead, right? But if it's a player that is not in as much distress as far as getting hit in the head, or like, say for instance, if somebody had a broken bone or something like that, not as important as a hit to the head or something to do with the potential long-term effects of after hockey for that player. And it does make sense why they blew it dead, because it was a puck to the face. And even if it wasn't a player, like they've blown plays dead because an official has had a puck to the face. So I think it was just Bonus being trying to play it up for his own team, and we got to respect that.
Yeah, for sure. It was gamemanship for sure, and he's trying to help his team. I don't blame him, but yeah, that you gotta kind of be careful there for sure. And it's referee discretion too, right? Like he's watching the play from his point of view, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good point. I mean, they're there for a reason, and I've been very critical of them throughout the playoffs. Throughout the first 4 games, I thought they did a decent job last game. There was a few that I was kind of wondering why they didn't call it, and a few that were actually on the Flames, and I was wondering why they didn't call it. But hey, they stayed consistent throughout the majority of the game, and I just hope that they keep that going, because there has been so many 4-on-4 penalties, like coincidental penalties throughout the first 4 games, and thankfully enough, there wasn't one last night, because I'm sick and tired of seeing that.
No, and let's jump into something that we haven't really given enough credit to. But one of the key things in this, and is Calgary's particular penalty killing. Like, I don't know. Like, again, Dallas was 0 for 2. They're 2 for 20 in this series, and Calgary's power play is no better. Don't get me wrong, but Dallas can't even establish themselves and get set up. Like, was that the penalty kill in the third period, for example, that Backlund, Coleman, and Crew did that was dominant penalty killing. Like, the Stars could not get themselves set up and get anything going there. Just their penalty kill has been unbelievable.
It's been so good. They've been able to mitigate that power play, and that's exactly what they wanted to do from the beginning. Because even if they did take a penalty, that Daryl Sutter is confident with the Flames being 5-on-5. So really need to shut down that power play for Dallas, and they've done a great job, like you said.
Yeah, the power play. Dallas's penalty killing is doing a great job. They did a really great job, though, shutting down that Lindholm shot from the high slot.
Mm-hmm.
Kevin Bieksa showed a nice little diamond of what they were doing. So the Flames need to find another way, and that's where Matthew has to also be effective. He needs to get more in front of the net. He needs to be more pesky. He's been sidewall behind net, and I don't know if that's strategic, but you got to move him a little bit in front of the net. You've got to get into Ottinger's grill, and that's what happened in the third period when Coleman on that goal. Coleman's in Ottinger's grill. He gets to the net, and then there's a loose puck.
Yeah, I think it's a lot to do with how Daryl Sutter and the coaching staff have them playing right now, and it's more so it's not really an umbrella type of power play, and maybe they should go to a bit of an umbrella, or maybe a read and react of it all, because that top unit is smart enough to read and react and switch things up a bit, because you have Toffoli on that far side with the right shot waiting for a one-time, and I think that needs to be released more, because then you have Johnny on the other side looking for a bit of a play, essentially. And yeah, Tkachuk is just on the side of the net there, not really doing much, waiting for that pass from Johnny, and then you're looking for a forced play, essentially, to either Lindholm or try and go cross crease to Foley. I just don't think it's working, and you need to be a bit more fluid and read and react properly to what you're seeing with Dallas. And Dallas is pretty aggressive on their power play. They'll pressure you. They're not going to sit back and just stay in a tight knit box. It's always and I'd say that's a majority of NHL penalty kills, but there are little tweaks here and there that you can do, the micro movements that you can see during a power PK that you can exploit. And yeah, right now it's definitely not working, because Tkachuk, I agree with you, does need to be in front of that net, or be hybrid. Like I said, go back in and out, especially when you have when Rasmus Andersson is manning that point and he has the puck, to have that option in front of Ottinger, because I haven't seen that.
Yeah. I mean, and the other thing that I think it does is, and we've talked about how Ottinger's kicking out the rebounds and intentionally kicking out the rebounds further back. That you almost take away that from him, because if he's going to kick the rebound and you got a forward in front with the stick in the way, you're going to create another opportunity. So it almost changes Ottinger's game a little bit of where he's wanting to kick those rebounds.
Totally, and like the goal. If you're in the NHL, your rebounding should be pretty damn good. I know there's a few out there that aren't as good as they would like to be, like a Robin Lehner. He has a hard time controlling rebounds. He's just a big blocker, basically in front of the net, considering his height and weight. But with the new age goalies that are coming in, they're really good at redirecting the shots on net that they get right along the pads. And if you're in front of him and he can't see it, then he can't really redirect in a proper way. So there's just so many benefits of crashing that net and getting more bodies in front. And credit to Michael Stone. He's played absolutely amazing. And from 2 games, he has 12 shots.
Yep.
And he's led the Flames in shooting, which is unbelievable. And I love, I'm assuming that the message to him is that exactly, because he has a hell of a shot, and just be physical. He's decent enough defensively where you're not too worried about him. You don't want to put him out there all the time. You're not going to rely on him. He's not a Chris Tanev, but he can do a formidable job within that. And it's funny how nobody, and I mean nobody, really wanted him. And Calgary, the only person that Michael Stone's talked to, I'm assuming, is Brad Treliving in the past, 3-4 years.
Yeah, that is fascinating. And fun fact, the only defenseman from the Flames that did not have a giveaway last night was Michael Stone. Now, he played 9:31, and then Branson was the second closest to him with 14:38. But Chris Tanev, who didn't have his best night, had 3 giveaways, and so did Zadorov. Yeah, I mean, he's done what he's needed to do. Can I throw a ridiculous idea at you here?
Throw away.
Do you just toss him once in a while on the number 1?
Ooh, I don't think so. I think you want to make sure that your number 1 or 1A defenseman in Rasmus Andersson isn't going to be jaded from that, because you got to make sure he has confidence and he's not going to be second guessing Daryl Sutter. Now, granted, if something does happen to Rasmus, then yeah, I could definitely see the possibility of throwing him up there. I think what you do is because he isn't that fleet of foot. he's a big boy, and he's not really that quick, but if you do have him out there for a offensive zone power play face-off, I could definitely see that for sure. And maybe even just take off one of I don't even know who you take off. Probably it's a Foley, maybe, and put him out there for a one-timer. But yeah, I don't mind the idea, but you just want to make sure that however you switch it up, you do not hinder Rasmus Andersson.
Yeah, for sure. The other issue last night, and it's weird because they were so good in Dallas in Game 4, but faceoffs went Dallas's way again, 57-43. Faxa was 67%, Jamie Benn 59%, Nemestikov 80%, Seguin 73%, Lindholm 38%. Backlund was fine, was 50. Lewis was 60%. Lucic was 100%. Yarncroke, not a good night, 30% in the faceoff circle. But again, that's one area. And I mean, I don't have to find the faceoff stat specifically for the third period, but the first 2 periods, it seemed to be all Dallas and in that area. And it's tough when you don't have the puck.
It is. And you really, especially starting to play without the puck, then you're starting behind and you're chasing a little bit. That's something that they really need to hone in on and figure out, okay, what is Dallas doing to make them so successful? at faceoffs, and there's more than one way to win a faceoff instead of winning it straight back. Like we talked about this before, you can do a tie up where the winger comes in. You can have little set plays like that, right? And maybe Lindholm with his stick being only a 60-65 flex, which is very whippy and very not as durable. They might only have a few tricks in his bag to try and win that draw. I don't know exactly what his faceoff percentage is for this entire year. Maybe I can take a look at that in a bit here just to see what really is what like how successful he has been. But as of right now, it doesn't seem to be good enough, especially as a number one center. But that's where Backlund comes in, and I've been very impressed with him. Every single game he's gotten better, and he was rewarded with a goal. But they definitely need to figure that out.
Yeah, I agree. And again, I just don't. Again, I'll say this again. Michael Backlund. I don't think that the Flames fans truly appreciate what Michael Backlund has met, because again, it's another night where Michael Backlund has come and saved the day, and he's done it so many times. This is, of course, we haven't seen it in the playoffs, but I think the big thing he came through here. I'm just looking though at the faceoffs. It was hints. Backlund in the third period. Anyway, but he just looking through the faceoffs here. There wasn't a lot of faceoffs in the third period. It was a pretty free-flowing period that way. But Backlund has been amazing again. And I just don't think that the Flame. For people that are like, time to move on we've had this discussion before. It's time to move Backlund to the third line. It's time to move Backlund on from Backlund. I don't think this organization would be where it is without him. Like, he's such a hard thing to replace. He's what he does. And again, it's not something we're not going to see him in trophy nominees yet this year, but he does so many good things. He just does so many little things right, and he gets things done at the right time. Like, he's never going to be on top of anybody's list of anything, but he does everything well.
And he's quiet, right? He's quiet with what he does. He's usually good when you don't notice him. But if you are looking for the little plays that he does, little chips out of the defensive zone into the neutral zone to mitigate the pressure from an offensive threat from the opposing team, there's so many things that he does that is beneficial, and the intangibles that you can really understand. The intangibles you can't really like hone in on them, but I'm sure he's a massive part in that locker room, and that he really I think he thrives in these type of environments. I really do, and he's showing it right now.
Yeah. By the way, I think if I have this right, I believe he won 4 faceoffs in the third period.
Do you know if they were defensive zone or offensive zone?
There was one in the defensive zone for sure. Mm-hmm. One at center ice, the opening faceoff, center ice. Let's go through these. This is good podcasting. This is what I got. This is what I paid the big money for. There's a second one. I want to get into Blake Coleman too, and then he scored to tie it, and then center ice faceoff one in the offensive zone against Radek Faksa. That's the second one. And then TV timeout, face-off, and the defensive zone after actually when Shillington took the penalty, he won that first face-off. And then he won 3 face-offs. And it may not be much. One in center ice, one in the offensive zone, one in the defensive zone. But considering how poorly the Flames did in the face-off circle, that was pretty clutch.
It means a lot. It really does.
Yeah.
I don't think that should go unnoticed.
Yeah. The other one I want to talk about here is in terms of forward, and we had this debate about Blake Coleman and Zach Hyman and last year about who would be the better signing. And this isn't to slag Zach Hyman. I'm not trying to slag him. Like, I think what he's done in Edmonton, he's been what Edmonton needed. But there was what Blake Coleman, that penalty kill in that penalty kill on Shillington. That was championship. That was Stanley Cup championship effort. That is a guy that has won 2 cups and he just knows what he is doing. And I just don't think that that is just something you can't replace. Like, you can make all the arguments about on ice of who's better or not. To me, and then what he said after the game, he said there was something said between the second and the third period, and no question about it. And I think one of the things that Coleman said in his end of game interview is you don't get opportunities like this. They don't come around all the time. And and there was some passion behind that. And there was some passion I just thought he was such an unbelievable warrior. And it comes through in situations. He come through every time. And again, I'm not trying to slag Zach Hyman, but I think Blake Coleman was the right fit for the Flames for what they needed. And Zach Hyman is a good fit in Edmonton for what they needed.
Yeah, I think the fact that he does have playoff experience and he's won. Did he win 2 cups there or just 1?
2, because
he won 2 cups.
He was
That's
in
right.
bubble, and then
And the fact that he said that these opportunities don't come often. The one quote that sticks with me is Jeremy Roenick said something very similar, and he went to the finals, or he went to the Eastern Conference Finals in his first year, in his rookie year, and he took that for granted. And those are the things that you don't want to do. And the fact that Blake Coleman is able to realize that, and obviously he's done it twice now, and hopefully he can do a 3-peat for himself. That would be it. Just that experience is not underrated, because you do find that in the off season, after a team wins and some players go to free agency, that people overpay for them. And there's a lot of Flames fans that wasn't happy with that contract at $4.9 million for the next 5 years, 6 years. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of term, but that experience bleeds through. And I don't think you're slagging Zach Hyman. Zach Hyman, they're very similar, and that's what we debated about and we talked about in the offseason was the comparables between them. And I think the difference is that Zach Hyman, when he was successful, he was playing on the top line with Austin Matthews. Blake Coleman was like you could put him up and down the lineup for sure, but he earns every single accolade, and being on that third line, it's a grinding line. And Zach Hyman, he's a good player, but Kevin, I'm siding with you on this, that I'd rather have Blake Coleman than Zach Hyman.
Yeah, and I'm just sorry. I'm trying to look for something here. So Blake Coleman, you're paying until 26, 27. He's 30 years old now. And, of course, that's where everybody gets into that. He's 30. And, come on, look, there's a whole debate about that. But, I worry about that a little bit later. But, like, just what Blake Coleman brings and what the value of that is, I just don't think that you can. That is so hard to replicate. It really is, and it came through last night. I tweeted Peter Labardius, friend of the show, and I said, "There's your hardest working flan. It's Blake Coleman," and he went with him. So, but yeah, he just. all those phrases. He had his hard hat on, and he has some passion, and that's the leadership in the room again part. Like it's just that. And look, the Flames did not play great for 40 minutes here, and they played a really strong 20 minutes. But you're not going to always have your A game, and it's not always going to go smooth. And that, to me, just overall, what Blake Coleman brought and that growing experience.
Yeah. Those are the guys. So him, Lucic, Lewis, those guys have done it already. They've done it multiple times. Well, Lucic once, but Lewis has gotten 2 cups, Coleman 2 cups. That does not go unnoticed. And especially with role players like that. I remember when we brought in Brandon Bolig, and was hoping that he would be a good Stanley Cup winner to come in after he was with Chicago, but he was a fourth liner. He was not effective. But yeah, these type of players, these are the type of players you win with, especially within this Sutter regime.
Yeah. And then, to me, and then Magic. Like before we get to him, and Andrew Mangiapane, he had a rebound game. He simply did. I mean, he was more engaged, and it's one of those situations. He's had a tough stretch. He finally got it going. You're right. That was a snipe. That was Mangiapane at his sniping best. Down the right, just firing that puck. And maybe the other thing that I think to me, Backlund, Coleman, and Mangiapane needs to remain a thing.
I think it was a wake-up call for Mangiapane last game. Game 4. The fact that he was benched he only had 2 shifts in the third period sets a message. And you did know, I noticed him in the first period. Second period, he kind of faded away a little bit, but in the third, obviously, he was a big factor for the Flames. And yeah, each one of those players brings something to that line, and it normally they are a bit different. The underlying factor is that you have 2 guys that are very good defensively in Lucic or in Backlund and Coleman, and then you have Mangiapane, who he can score. He really can. It's just it's putting himself in the right positions, and normally it's off the rush, just like that. And he does get the gritty goals as well. So I think that the underlying theme of that second unit is the grittiness, and that Backlund can play dirty. We've seen him. He can get mad and do some shady shit. And Coleman and Mangiapane, I think, are cut from the same cloth of just gritty players that work hard and get the job done.
Yeah. Trevor Lewis, I want to acknowledge him. He's been a workhorse this entire playoff. He's been so consistent. He's done exactly what they've asked of him.
And I think this is the reason why Daryl Sutter sought him out and said, "Hey, come be on my team in Calgary this year," because I believe he was in Winnipeg
Yes,
the year before. And obviously Winnipeg has their own issues, but I think you're really starting to see why Sutter really relies on him and loves him as a player and obviously as a person, because it sounds like he's a really good guy.
Dylan, by the way, wants to correct you.
I said 1 cup. I said
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I said because I said 2, and then I correct myself and said no, he only has 1. Okay. When Lucic Lewis and
I believe it's Lewis and Toffoli that have 2 cups.
Lewis and Toffoli, yes. Yeah.
And Coleman, yeah.
And Coleman, that was the other one that I was saying. But yes, I did correct myself.
Now, and then I think this might blend. I was so close to giving Coleman my W, but I'm going to give it to this guy. I have to. And here's why. Look, I know everyone has been talking about Jake Ottinger has been considered the best goalie in the playoffs. He's made 10 bell save after 10 bell save. It's been the Flames went 7 periods at home without scoring a goal. But 1-0 Dallas, about 20, 30 seconds later, Joe Pavelski goes down the ice. The Flames are caught napping. Markstrom makes an unbelievable save. Power play, they didn't get any shots, but Pavelski found his way late in this third period with about 2 minutes to go. He found himself open in front of the net. Markstrom makes another save. It may not look spectacular, but Markstrom's getting my W. Because I think, honestly, without him, the Flames do not win the game. It's not nobody. I don't know if we're going to have highlight reel saves from Jacob Markstrom, but he was the reason ultimately they won the game.
He's not talked about enough. The fact that they, especially pretty much in every single game, he hasn't really been. He's been tested, but the amount of shots for a goalie to get in the rhythm is he wants to feel the puck, but with the chances that Dallas has, there's been at least 1 to 2 10 bell saves that he really has, like he's saved, and not being able to get in a good rhythm with feeling the puck during the game and just expecting. We basically just expect him to save everything now. And you're right. I don't think he does deserve the W for sure. And that's your W for him. 100% warranted. I completely understand. We need to give him more praise because what he's doing is hard.
Yeah,
it's very hard. My W.
Sorry, just one more thing. Just one thing before you go to your W. It's not only how good the save is, it's when the save is. I don't think we talk enough about when that save is, because you could make a spectacular save early in the first and 0-0, and it may not mean much, but when it's 1-0 and you need that next save, Markstrom's been there.
Yeah, it's a timely saves. You could argue that every single big save is a timely save, especially in a low-scoring series like this, right? You don't want to get down by more than one, essentially. So the fact that he's been there and doing that is massive, and it's huge. And say, for instance, if you have if maybe we could do once the series is over, what the W is for the entire series.
Yeah,
I'd say he's up there.
Yep, for sure. Go ahead with your W.
My W is the bounce back game of Mangiapane. I thought that, like I said, he struggled a little bit in the second period, but his first and third period were definitely there. And a close second for me also is, obviously, we talked about him a lot, is Blake Coleman.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know, like, if you go on a podcast, and I'm not trying to promote a radio station, but Corey Sarich and Kevin Woodley had an unbelievable conversation today about defense and goaltending, and how Sarge talked about how Hobby Bulin wanted something different of how you from a defender in terms of what they were to take away, and then Kiprusoff, and how you had to adjust for that. And it's a really fascinating conversation, because I think one of the other things that I think is happening is Markstrom's communication with the defense. And it helps that he knows Tanev, like probably most of the back of his hand. I think that helps. And he knows Gabranson. I think that helps too. But just the communication it's really fascinating to watch that. If you're nerd enough to watch it, it's neat.
Yeah, it really is. And that was a great conversation this morning. Yeah, that you definitely should go check out. When we had Kevin Woodley on, it was, definitely a highlight, top 4 guests within our on our podcast. And you're right. He nerds out. He loves this shit. He'll talk your ear off about anything to do with it when it comes down to how a goalie ties his skates, how everything, or little tweaks and changes that every single goalie goes through, or tendencies or anything like that. It's a cool conversation because and to your point, Kev, there's also that relationship that Tanev and Markstrom have is amazing because they have been playing together for years. And so that they know what to expect. And I think that's what, makes Tanev, he'll thrive wherever he goes. He's just that good. But having that relationship is huge. Understanding where that puck's going to be, when, where, like for Markstrom, where's Tanev on the ice, essentially. It's a good little relationship they have.
And I also think too, and Woodley talked about this a little bit today, Markstrom's adjustment to system, because he came in under a Jeff Ward system, which was a bit, in Vancouver, this is Woodley's words. So, Canuck fans don't get on me for this, but Markstrom was expected to stand on his head.
Yeah.
And here it's more of a, we don't use the word defensive, it's check-in, but it's more of a low event system. And there is an adjustment to that.
For sure. I'm listening to Woodley again at the beginning of the year. He was questioning whether or not how Markstrom would adjust to that system, considering he hasn't played in a system like this that is defensively sound and where checking is a big part of it. Defensive checking is massive. And and obviously I think it just shows the diversity of Markstrom, that he can be one of those guys that he can play both ways. Mike Smith, as an example, he plays very well when he is peppered and when he's in the fabric of the game. And when he's not saying he doesn't do the job, but outside of his age, the style that he plays isn't really suiting for this type of shut down, low event hockey as far as shots on net.
Yeah. You're right. He does well in shot volume for sure.
Yeah. So I think it just shows that once again the diversity of Markstrom, and I think we do need to give him more accolades for what he is doing and what he will do with the Flames in this playoff run.
Yeah, and even Shesterkin, I would probably argue that's been one of the things, is he thrives in shot volume.
Yep.
Hart
winner, Igor Shesterkin.
Is that where we go next?
Sure,
or is there
let's
anything
go.
else?
I think we're good on this part. Well, actually, hold on. Before we do move on, Kevin, how important is this next game for the Calgary Flames?
Well, I think you need the time off. I think that's the big thing. And I think just for this organization, I don't think you want to get it to Game 7. I think you want to cement this as quickly as possible. I'm not sure where Dallas is at, because I think it seems to me, if Dallas keeps things at a pretty low event, uneventful point, they're fine. But when this gets intense, feels to me the Flames are at an advantage.
This next game is huge for the Calgary Flames. I mean, of course, no matter what, you want to be winning games and you want to be solidifying your spot in the second round as soon as you can, because, like you said, you do get days off, and you'll be able to prepare for either the Oilers or the LA Kings in the next round. And the sooner you do that, the better. But I think there's the reason why there's so much anxiety in Calgary and in Flames fans right now is because they have it's not been decisive wins. It's been tip plays or tip shots from Dallas to score rebounds, nothing pretty. And when it comes down to those kind of, I'd say, intangible goals, it's hard to be confident within, okay, yeah, we're feeling good and we're gonna win this series. If it comes down to a game 7, it's a coin flip for me.
It totally
And
is. Game 7s are coin flips for sure.
You never know. You never know what bounces are going to go your way. Like I said at the top of the podcast, you got to think that the luck will go to Calgary if there is puck luck, or if the hockey gods shine on the Flames, because I think that they do deserve it. But fuck, it's too. This game is I think underratedly important.
Yeah, for sure. And you're right. I agree. I think it's a massive win. It would be it for the organization. I think and then you get the rest, get a couple days off. Series, I guess, second round, I'm assuming is either going to start Tuesday, Wednesday, and you get a couple of days off. You rest your boo-boos, you rest your injuries, and you're ready to go.
Yep.
Yep.
And if I mean, we can talk about this, but if it is going to be LA, don't expect much of a different series than this one, because LA is built very similar to and have the same idea as the Dallas Stars do. So, but hey, getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Let's focus on game 6 and hope for the best there.
What the Kings and the Oilers, I mean, there was so much talk after what happened with Edmonton. It's probably because it's the closer vicinity to us. But I think this is one where we need to praise the Kings. They came in. And they put on whatever work attire that you do, whether that is a business suit, whether that is a dress, whatever it is. They put it on, and they went to work right from the beginning. And there was a 10-minute moment here in that game where McDavid and Draisaitl took it over, but and they hung on for dear life to get it to overtime. But once they got it to overtime, I was thinking that, I'm like, if they get it to overtime, they're fine, but you just got to get to overtime. And they did, and they just went back. They took over. I don't think a lot of people, talk about a guy that's not getting a lot of praise, but Adrian Kempe has been, he's, only 2 goals in the only first 2 goals in this series, but he's hard to contain. Dano, Moore, and Iafallo have been a tough line, and I think that's confusing. It's confusing the Oilers what to do there. And Troy from Richmond, which is just that way from me here, by the way. He comes in 4 points in this series. And I think if people, let me make a little bit of a hot take, and I might tick off our friend Dylan. If people learned of Sean Durzi before this series, Sean Durzi might have been a nominee for a Calder Trophy.
I think that there was obviously the circumstance of Drew Doughty going down to get Sean Durzi to shine, but he's. I'd be curious on where he is on the list that's going to come out after the awards for the Calder, if he got any accolades or votes. But going down that list, man, there's a lot of sneaky good players. And like you said, I think Carl Gunstrom is very underrated in his defensive play. Trevor Moore, he can go both ways. There was a time there, a stretch in the season where Trevor Moore was a dominant player for the LA Kings, and he was getting multiple goals, multiple games. But to go back to your first guy that you brought up, Adrian Kempe, holy shit. I know he's been around a while, but this might be a coming out party for him as far as solidifying himself as a playoff performer, because what he's doing right now is pretty damn. It is impressive, especially against a team that has 2 superstars on it, quote unquote superstars. We had this debate earlier, but in Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, who can put up points, he can too. And I'm not saying that you can compare the two, but obviously it's a team game, and the team that's winning the series right now, I think, is deserving. And I don't know if the Oilers can come back and win 2 games in a row, Connor McDavid is going to be fucking spent. He'll be so tired. I don't think that this team, this incarnation of the Oilers, has the longevity to go past the second round if they do, because God, it's so taxing on those 2 players to expect a lot from them. And I just think obviously also the goaltending of Mike Smith, who knows when he's going to have his drop off. And I think once the drop off does happen, I think it's going to be steep.
Yeah, it's with the Oilers. I mean, I don't want to get too much into what I'm seeing there, but the one thing I will say from Game 5, dumb penalties. Dumb. Just simply dumb. Zach Kassian took a cross-checking penalty late in the second. And the Kings, here's the thing with the Kings, is their power play is awful. Like AWWWFFFUUUULLL awful. Like, it's terrible. It is a terrible power play. They will admit that it's a terrible power play. But you know what it's effective? Keeps Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl off the ice. That's what the job of that power play is to do. Okay, you don't necessarily have to score, but if McDavid and Draisaitl are just drinking Gatorade, that's totally fine. And Zach Kassian took a really stupid cross-checking penalty late in the second period. Like, just a simply dumb. It was a dumb penalty. And then you're sitting there with Darnell Nurse, and there was a couple of other swings Zach Kassian took in the second period. He's swinging his stick around like he's lucky he didn't get a couple more. You know, and then Ryan McLeod 4-minute one. I guess a lot of people will find that controversial. And I'm sorry. This will get a lot of people mad, but Darnell Nurse did deserve to be suspended. Mm-hmm. And you can argue with me if that was intentional or not. It's not a smart play. It's not what your number one defenseman should be doing at that point in time.
Nope. That was completely stupid. Whether or not it was intentional or not, the motion that he did, why the fuck would you do that? Like that's not a hockey play. Anything that's not a hockey play like that is going to be called, and it should be questioned. And I think for maybe for the first time in a long time, I think the the organization or the NHL finally got a suspension right. And 1 game, I think, is good enough for Darnell Nurse to think about what he did and how he conducts himself. Because if he continues to go down that road of not playing hockey essentially, or doing a hockey play, then, for lack of a better word, doing a hockey play, then you really just gotta question that. Yeah, you look for leadership for your number one defenseman, and there was zero leadership within that. Yeah, you get emotional. Yeah, there's times where leaders are not doing what they're supposed to do, which is lead by example. But that was stupid, and I think the Department of Player Safety got it right.
Yeah. You just have to play. Overall, the Kings are just seemingly, when the Kings are on, they're playing a smarter type of hockey than the Oilers are. Even Brendan Lemieux, who is not one of my favorite, using the diplomacy here, Brendan Lemieux is not one of my favorite players, but he's not costing the Kings.
Yep.
He's not. I don't think he's helping the Kings, but he's not costing the Kings. Where, just like Evander Kane, 6 minutes in penalties. Ryan McLeod, 4 minutes.
Yeah. When it comes down to a coin flip of a series, which some might argue this would be, it's not about what you do for your team. It's what, I think you said it perfectly. It's what costs you. How effective of not doing stupid shit are you?
Yeah. We'll see tonight if that is the wrap up. I put a poll on the Shifts and Pucks. There's 7 game 6s. How many go to game 7?
It's a good question. I think, as much as I hate to say this, I think the Leafs and Bolts go to 7. I think so. That's 1. I'd say the Pittsburgh New York series goes. So that'll be 2, and then 3 with. So I'm going to say 3 with Minnesota and St. Louis.
Okay, I've got Boston will take it to 7 with Carolina.
Okay.
It's going to depend on Crosby. If he's healthy, I think Pittsburgh can wrap it up. If he's not, I think it goes 7. I want to say Washington, but I feel like Washington has shot themselves in the foot twice in a row.
Yep, they definitely have.
So I'm gonna say 2. I'd say Florida wraps it up, but it is tough to win in Washington. That is one place. Like if I was to win $1 million and have to do a playoff tour, that would be one place I would love to go watch a game as Washington.
Oh my God. And Ovi has to still be playing at that point, right?
Yeah. I think Minnesota ties St. Louis, so that's 3. So I'm gonna go with 3. I think LA wraps up Edmonton, and I think Calgary will wrap. I'm touching wood. Calgary beats Dallas. And so 4. I think Tampa will beat Toronto tonight.
Oh, okay. I got excited there. I don't know if you're looking at my face, but I was getting excited because you didn't mention anything to do with the Leafs. But yeah, I think so too. It's the past 3 years, Vasilevsky has been amazing. And same with the Bolts that whenever they lose, they don't lose 2 in a row. So I think when it comes to that kind of a trend, it's hard to go away from that. But God, do I hope that Toronto wins? Absolutely, I do.
I do think Toronto has a really good chance of winning the series, even if it goes 7. They'll be at home. Their players are stepping up. Tavares and Nylander are stepping up. Nylander has been inconsistent. They've been inconsistent.
The one thing I do want to say about Tavares though is that or Tavares, whichever way you want to say it, is you really want what defines him as having a good game as of right now? Is it points? I think points is there, but you want to make sure he's playing a 200-foot game. He's playing the best he can in 3 zones, and I don't think we've seen that yet from him this game or this playoff series, and especially when you're the captain and the leader of this group. I think leading by example is huge. Pull up a page out of Mark Giordano's book when he was here in Calgary. You want to be playing like him because he's going to give, or even if you're not getting the results you want that effort to be there.
This is the thing, though. If Tavares' salary was cut in half, how happy would you be with Tavares?
Well, I don't like. For me, it's not even about the salary at this point. It's about what you bring to the team. Salaries, I during the regular season, that does factor within my brain. But when you jump into the playoffs, salaries mean nothing. It's about what you produce on the ice that matters, and how you conduct yourself. And right now I do not see a John Tavares that is okay. Follow me, boys, into the trenches because I'm the captain. When you look for leadership, when you have a C on your chest, not just the flaming C, but the C that's in the upper left hand or right hand corner of the jersey, you have to lead by example.
Who's been more effective, Tavares or Backlund?
Oh, Backlund overall. And that's a problem when you have a second line center in Michael Backlund, and maybe name bars bring a lot to that as well, because when you think John Tavares, you think of a big offense, or a decently good offensive player, and when you think about Backlund, you think really good defensively. But I'd rather have a defensive player that is playing at the level that Backlund's playing at than a John Tavares who's not really producing that much offensively, and outside of that, he's not playing great in his defensive zone, in the neutral zone. So yes, I'd have to say Backlund.
I just wonder if we need to redefine what the expectation is for Tavares, because I think it's all this big four, and I don't like. I always kind of thought that contract was a bit much for Tavares, and I didn't.
Absolutely.
But I think that there's, I don't know. I wonder what you do with Tavares going. I mean, I wonder what Tavares is going forward. That would be my question. And I wonder if we need to change expectations for him, and he needs to be a bit more. We talked about other players that need to change their game. Like, Tortorella got ripped for saying McDavid needed to change his game, but maybe Tavares needs to I need to change my game a little bit.
I think he has the mindset to do that. I don't think there's a massive ego on him. I think that's why he is the captain, is because he doesn't have ego, and it has to do with the team and what's best for the team. So I have no question within that. And we knew that this contract wasn't going to age well. I mean, he's 31 years old. He's not known for his speed and his foot speed whatsoever. But it's the smarts that he has. It's kind of Crosby-esque. I mean, that sounds ridiculous. But he's similar to Crosby in the offensive zone in the corners. He's able to maneuver and put the puck in proper spots. But yeah, I don't think that'll be an issue for him going forward. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I expect more from him for being a captain. And you don't have to be like amazing, but yeah, show leadership and play well defensively. Because if you're not putting up offense, what's the next best thing you can do? Make sure the puck doesn't go in your net. Yeah. And to Dylan's point, he said, "How can you say that it's not about salary, dude? They don't get paid in the playoffs. They don't. And realistically, like what benefit does it have to slight someone's salary in the playoffs? It's all about what you do, right?"
Yeah, and I think with Tavares too, it's the market that he's in, where I think that the expectations are much higher because there's more eyes on that product, either love watching, hate watching, whatever. There's a higher expectation there.
For sure, it's a fishbowl.
Yeah,
every single player that's been there and will be there for the end until the end of time is you have high expectations. Losing is not an option, and unless you're trying to tank to get Matthews.
Yeah, or a Bedard or a Wright. But with Tampa, they just don't look sharp. Like, they just don't look like crisp. They look like they've played a lot of hockey.
And they have. They won 2 cups in a span of 12 months. Under 12 months.
Yeah.
They got to be tired.
And Vasilevsky is not allowed less than 3 goals in this series.
Yeah. Yep. I don't think they're not as crisp as they have been in the past. They're not as they just don't look like themselves, and that could be being very tired, not mentally quite. Yeah, just crisp. I think that is a real underlying issue with the Tampa Bay Lightning, is because they're I don't know how else to say it, but yeah, they're tired. They have to be.
Yeah. And I think that their other big mistake is that they I think that they just expected to. It's easy to replace like a conversation for lengthy future things here. I think is just this idea that players are easily replaceable. Blake Coleman and Barclay Goodrow are not easily replaced by Pierre Belmar and Ross Colton. They're fine, but I don't think that and Corey Perry, a
Nick
year
Paul.
older, Nick Paul. I don't like you just can't replace that easily.
They have it factors, Barclay Goodrow and Blake Coleman. Not saying, and I absolutely love what Nick Paul is and what type of player he is. I was hoping that Calgary would have been in on him before the trade deadline because I love watching him play. I think he's very much a Daryl Sutter type player. But there's something about those two players, and I remember that the Tampa Bay Lightning got raked over the coals for the acquisition cost of getting them. You got 2 cups as a massive part of them. And John Cooper was talking about those 2 players and specifically Blake Coleman and how he misses him because he was so effective at what he does.
Yeah. Yeah. And, when you listen, the Tampa Bay Lightning don't get criticized because they keep giving away first-round picks, but they're trading first-round picks for Stanley Cups. And I'm going to tease this for a future conversation, but when you draft very well between number 2 and number 7, you don't need your firsts. It's just your seconds and your 7s and how you find other players. If you're doing that well, you don't need to rely on that, making sure that first lands. And just remember the name Jack Finley, because Jack Finley he's currently playing with the Winnipeg Ice. They're 1 game away from heading to the Eastern Conference semifinals. I think he's going to be a guy to watch that will be in Tampa's lineup in a couple years.
No, we need to clip this and put it in the vault, and then set a timer for 2 or 3 years, and then we can bring it back out because I love hearing these little takes, and I hope it hits. I hope it does because those type of players that make a massive impact, especially at that age. In the playoffs, that it means a lot. It really does.
Yeah. They also have a guy. I want to make sure I get his name right. Where's the stats? Here, hang on. Give me a quick second.
No worries.
This guy was the last player chosen in the 2021 draft. He played for the Everett Silvertips. They got bounced in the first round. Oh, he didn't play that game. I'll find him here. Hang on. Oh, yeah, 11-6. Did he play that game? Yes, he did. His name, I want to make sure I pronounce it correctly. That's why I'm taking the time to do this, because it's a bit of a adventure to pronounce. Nico Huutonen. Remember the name Nico Huutonen. He was the last player picked in the 2021 draft, played with the Everett Silvertips, 37 goals.
Wow.
I'm not just like, so my point is with Tampa Bay, you can criticize that they're trading their first round picks, but they draft and develop so well, they don't need them.
Yep.
They don't need to do what Arizona, Montreal, and Seattle are doing. They're doing well with what they have.
And that's why you got to put a lot of money into the right people for your amateur scouting.
Yep.
That's huge. That's really big.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, game 6 tonight, we're going to have to see what happens there. Talk a little bit about this because I think game 6 depends on Crosby. Did you see the Trouba hit on Crosby?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
No suspension. Are you okay with that? I am. I think it wasn't a great hit, but it looked like he was trying to go more for the puck than he was Crosby.
I think it was a potential accidental on purpose kind of thing, trying to get both the puck and Crosby. That's what I did as a defenseman. That was my thought process, is get both. If I can't get one, I got it. Or if I can't get both, I got to get one for sure. And yeah, I don't think it's a suspension. I'm pretty sure it came down as not a suspension either.
Yeah, no hearing.
Yeah, no hearing. I'm not surprised. Does it suck for Pittsburgh Penguins fans? Absolutely. But I don't think it was suspension worthy.
Fair. Yeah, I agree with you. And then the final thing we'll chat about here is Hart Trophy nominees came out today. It's Matthews, McDavid, and Shesterkin. Eric Francis tweeted out that most people probably had Matthews and McDavid on the ballot as top two, and everybody else was fighting for three.
Yep.
I've been doing should wins, would wins. I said should win is McDavid. Sean is disagreeing with me and thinks it should be Matthews. I do believe Matthews is going to win this. I believe that they're going to go with his 60 goals and say that's fantastic and he deserves it. But I think we talked a little bit about this, and I think maybe you've cemented an argument for me here. Matthews has a John Tavares, money or not, to help him score. And he's actually wearing that C. Connor McDavid is expected to do so much for the Oilers organization. To me, that is more valuable than that, because that's why I would give him the vote, is because how much he has done and what he has done. And it's no disrespect to Matthews, because it's an either or. But to me, my vote would be to McDavid because of just terms of what McDavid has around him and what is expected of him and what is expected of Matthews. It's almost like Matthews can go and be Austin Matthews. I think Connor McDavid needs to be Connor McDavid plus in Edmonton.
I definitely see where the argument's coming from and agree with you that McDavid probably has more to deal with in Edmonton. And that does have to do with roster construction. Matthews has Marner, Nylander, Tavares, Rookie of the Year Calder candidate, Michael Bunting, who's played very, very well for them. I think that they do go Matthews, and I think it's more so for the reason that there's that bias of Toronto in my head, not because I'm a fan, because of just the everything that comes around Toronto. And I think that might be the reason why. If I did a coin flip, or it's a 51% Matthews and 49% Connor McDavid for me. There's not much separating them from my perspective, and wouldn't be upset either way. But I think that Matthews does get it because goal scoring is so hard, and Matthews' defensive game is very underrated. And I think that has a factor with it as well. I think his defensive game is better than Connor McDavid's defensive game. And for me, McDavid needs to be he needs to be amazing every single night I'd say 99 to 95% of the time for the Edmonton Oilers to be successful. And I guess that is the definition of the Hart, is who's most valuable to their player or their own team. And if that's going to be the case, then Connor McDavid wins pretty much every single year.
With the way the Oilers are currently constructed, yeah.
And potentially if he stays. And that's another thing, is that I don't think that I know this is probably an off-season topic, but I don't think that he wants to stay much longer because of management, everything that's kind of around there. And that is a big if they lose this. I think it amplifies it a bit more if they lose this series against LA.
Yeah, we'll save that conversation.
Totally.
Yeah.
But to Dylan's point, yeah, Roman Josi I think should have been up there as well. And I'd be very curious to see exactly where Roman Josi is within that voting, because they do bring it out after the or is it before the?
It's after.
It's after.
Yeah, after the votes.
Yeah.
Yeah. My final three were Huberdeau, Gaudreau, McDavid, but I think that there's a number of arguments in different ways, depending on how you look at it. But
Yep.
And I said I thought Huberdeau should win it, but
Well, I'd be curious to see who came first. Is it going to be like who got voted more votes, either Huberdeau or Yossi? And to see where Johnny was at. I don't think, as much as I wanted Johnny to be up there, I think Johnny will be top 5 or 6. And if he's not, then that'll be very unfortunate. But yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'm excited to see that list.
Yeah. Anything else we need to talk about?
I don't think so. I think we're pretty good.
All right. So we're back Saturday. Are the Flames moving on? Or are we having a nervous conversation about Game 7? That's the question. So we're back. Should we set a time now, or we just have to play it by ear?
Play it by ear for now.
Okay, fair enough. How do we follow you?
Follow me on Twitter at Gordhouse09.
And again, I'm going to back up, Devin. We did our poll again, and we had a couple of people in DNFs, and the Flames are winning. So are you being a troll, or are you being legit with this F? Like, seriously.
No kidding. I think there might be a part of me that thinks that Sean might be one of them. I'm just kidding. I know he's not.
No, Sean wouldn't do that. And then, of course, you can follow Sean, BeardyConnect03, Tyler, TNOBLE, and then Christian Schneid's, SCHNEIDZ. I am KEVOLE, Shifts and Pucks, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and wherever you get your audio, as well as in the Area 51 Sports Network. Don't forget to give Fireside Chat a follow as well. They did their podcast on Sunday. Dan thought they would win the next 2. Matt thought they would lose the next 2 after, by the way. So that's interesting. And then and they may be joining us on Saturday. We'll have to see. And then follow us all there. Thanks everyone for watching and listening, and we will talk to you all very soon. Bye for now.